Irwindale's progressive banking has created some fantastic side-by-side racing in the past. However, the previous seasons used the SK Modified, so will we still see the same style with the Grand National car? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 8 of the Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series, presented by the Cruise Shop. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Chris Foby. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Short track racing is more often associated with the South and the East here in the U.S. The bulk of the circuits might be located there, but the racing pedigree on the West Coast has been alive for decades. To learn a little bit more about one of its signature tracks, let's head over to our track guy.
Welcome to Irwindale. Heir to the proud tradition of short track racing in the Los Angeles Basin, Irwindale Speedway opened its gates in 1999 and hasn't looked back since. Irwindale is a clean and modern facility filled with amenities for drivers, crews, fans, and sponsors alike. The facility features banked paved half-mile and third-mile ovals and even a figure eight tossed into the middle. Progressive banking is the name of the game at Irwindale, and it was really one of the first tracks to get it right. 6 degrees closest to the line at the bottom, 9 degrees in the middle, and 12 way up top dusting that wall off. It's built in such a way that rowing between the banking is smooth and actually an easy transition, giving you, in holding the steering wheel, plenty of places to run and some added stability. Day or night, the most speed can often be made closest to the walls at Irwindale. In the sunlight, the shadows that cast off of the billboards in 1 and 2 can actually keep that part of the track cooler than the rest. And you know, as a race car driver, cool tracks equals fast speed. But even at night, you can run anywhere here at Irwindale. For a short track, Irwindale is actually a very wide speedway, but don't let that fool you. Turns 1 and 3 beg for you to overdrive the entry. The smart drivers will balance that send it part of their brain and get the entries right. Rubbing, bumping, banging, beating, all of the short track phrases that we are used to on the service can and most likely will be used today. This has been our guide to Irwindale. Enjoy the show.
They see some of the gorgeous views you have here out in California of this wonderful short track. But Chris, tell us a little bit more about what it's going to be like with these K&N cars.
Now these are heavier than what we're used to with the SK Modified, so look to see these cars be muscled around the track a little bit more than the nimble Modifieds were. With the progressive banking being such a differential from the bottom to the top, look for the upper groove to kind of be where the drivers are going to want to be running. Because the momentum, as well as the a little bit of extra banking to lean on, is going to make it a little bit quicker. And it's also going to be a wee bit easier on the tires, as these drivers only have one set of tires for the duration of the race. This track is a staple of West Coast racing, and it's a very exciting track, so look to see a lot of very hard racing here at Irwindale tonight.
Yeah, I'm expecting it should be a good time, but again, a lot of unknowns with this new car here. One thing that is known is, as always, our sponsor is the Cruise Shop. The Cruise Shop has been in operation since 1986. They are a team of highly experienced travel agents that have a huge passion for travel. They specialize in cruises, all-inclusive resorts, escorted tours, Disney and family travel, groups, honeymoons, and weddings. They would love the opportunity to help you plan your next vacation. Give them a call today at 260-755-6125 or visit them online at thecruiseshopfw.com. The Cruise Shop is dedicated to fulfilling their clients' dreams one destination at a time. Taking a look at our championship now, things have swapped around since we last looked. J.R. Shepard now leading low by a mere 2 points. Holloway still chipping away at getting good results in. If either of the top drivers have a problem, he could be there to snatch up the pieces and maybe move into second, maybe even the lead. Who knows, depending on how things go in these final few rounds of the season. Speidel and Altice in a very close fight down there for the 4th position as well. What about the race details for what we've got? You talked a little bit about the tires and whatnot, but what are some of the other things that the viewers need to be aware of here, Chris?
Yeah, as mentioned, one set of tires to last the entire race, so that's going to make things pretty difficult. 100 laps here at Irwindale. It's the 8th round of the 11th race season, and remember, the grid here is set by the previous race's results. So the 8th place finisher from last week's race will be starting on the pole, and the winner of last week's race starting 8th, the completed version of the top 8. So one of the more unique features of the BRL is that starting lineup, but nonetheless a very interesting race we're going to see today.
And we're doing it under the lights now. In past seasons, they've run here at Irwindale at the sunset time, but it looks like now that iRacing has added lights around here, we get a spectacular show with them gleaming off of these beautiful cars. Justin Morton, interestingly, holds the quickest time here in the warm-up, and J.R. Shepard is in second. Of course, Lowe is in third, so those two familiar faces still doing quite well, but I'm curious to see what Morton can do since he seems kind of quick today.
Yeah, this isn't a track that's necessarily the easiest to get around. Being that the top groove is kind of the preferred way around, that's usually a little bit more of a challenging way because you're fighting your instincts as a driver to go to the bottom of the track and try to shorten the lap up as much as possible. So this is a very particular track as far as getting the line down correctly. And so Justin Morton having the fast time is pretty impressive.
Other thing that I'm going to watch out for myself is one of the more unique features, well, at least here on iRacing, we don't see this at many tracks. In the real world, I've seen plenty of short tracks have this. If we watch down into turn 1, Chris, there's that little tire barrier thing they have where the cars are supposed to exit and head to the outside pits where they have a lot of the cars get worked on. There you see it there in that shot. We've seen here in this series before, it has collected cars. So I have to wonder if anybody is going to fall victim again tonight.
That's not something that's too out of the question at the real world racetracks too. That's probably not the greatest design to have a blunt end of the wall like that right going into the corner. Some of these tracks were designed when maybe that wasn't as big of a concern because you can just throw some water barrels or some tires up there. So kind of an iffy design feature that we see on a lot of short tracks, but these drivers, being race car drivers, you see a little bit of extra asphalt and you look at that as, oh, I got a little more room to run. Unfortunately, that's not always the smartest place to run, and also when you have somebody to the inside that may have an incident, also could see yourself shoved up into that barrier as well, which can be quite detrimental to the quality of your ride the rest of the race.
That's putting it lightly. What's weird is you talked about, some of the short tracks being built a while ago. This place was actually built in 1999, like we heard Brian talking about. So it's really curious that they had that built that recently, because by that point, safety was starting to become much more of a concern here, especially on the oval side as we see Holloway spin it out down to the inside. They're coming around as drivers still trying to work up their speed and see what they can find out here. Haven't really seen much change in the times of the warm-up, but it is a big field for this half-mile track. 21 drivers have already signed up, and that might actually be the biggest field we've ever seen in Bootleg, and I have to check the stats.
I will say that's probably close to about the perfect amount of cars for a track this size. You get the bigger field like we've seen in some of the real-life NASCAR K&N races here where you can see north of 30 cars, and it gets a little cramped and you see maybe a lack of space, we'll call it, and maybe not respecting other space as much. So I'd say probably 20 to 25 cars would be about ideal for a track this size.
Well, that works out because I'm getting information in the background from a more reliable source. This is 26 and 27 is around the record that we're looking at for the Bootleg Racing League's Premier Series, at least, which is their finale each Saturday night. Used to be the SK Modified, which we were talking about before. Now it is the Grand National cars, which has been phenomenal to watch because, well, they're on the new tower model here, Chris, and it's caused a lot of drivers to really have to work hard to figure out how to drive them. But the really cool thing that I can't wait for next season, Chris, they're getting the new damage model on these cars, so I hope you're ready for some parts flying.
Yeah, it'll be just like the real world races that we've been seeing here with these cars lately. Very cool though, these cars have really been fun to watch, and I say that as somebody that's pretty much a die-hard modified guy. I was really kind of heartbroken to see that car go away as the Premier Division under BRL, but I definitely can say that these the Grand National cars have been really exciting to watch, and they put on a really great show.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed them myself. And these cars currently getting closer up at the top because J.R. Shepherd has gotten it down from 7 100s to Justin Morton to now 2 100s. So he's finding little bits and pieces in the dying stages, which doesn't bode well for Justin, which he's gotten back out there. We saw him in the pits a little earlier, taking a small break, but the number 9 is on track and running. With just about 20 seconds left, we'll get to that grid in just a moment. As you heard earlier on, it's going to be the top 8 of the last race in their finishing order that are inverted, if they show up at least. Of course, the drivers can find themselves bumped up a little bit if one of the drivers who finished in the top 8 doesn't show in the following week. There is the checkered flag on the warm-up. That's all you're going to get in trying to get something out of the car here, because there is no qualifying. So let's go through your starting grid for tonight. It is going to be Mike Holloway on the pole, with Ruben Altice starting in second. James Lowe starts P3 tonight with Tim Shanowski in 4th position. Kenny Kibbe starts P5, followed by Justin Morton in 6th. Just ahead of the driver who was just ahead of in the warm-up, J.R. Shepherd starts 7th. Joe Segala, P8 for him, with Todd Liston in 9th, and Bruce Pearson rounds out your top 10.
As we head outside of the top 10, Jason Menda will be starting 11th over Brad Speidel. Austin Belke will be starting lucky number 13 with Lowell Jewell to his outside. Jeffrey Harden will be 15th on the grid, followed by Brian Dean. Donnie Moore 17th with Robbie Robinson in 18th. Mike Allen 19th. John Hain will complete the top 20, and then Chris Wolfson rounds out the field in 21st.
You can see the drivers now lining up on the grid. I do believe we have everybody out there, so that Mustang pace car should take off. There it goes. I was going to say just any moment. And now away it goes. We get 2 pace laps, then we go running for 100 laps. And as we heard from Chris, there are no tire changes allowed. You got to take care of that rubber that is underneath you. The good news is they do have that spare car, so even though they have to take care of the rubber, they can be a little bit more careless with the bodywork, because that can be replaced in the middle of the race if they decide to go in and get that free repair, as they call it here on iRacing. Pace car just leading them up to the 2nd lap now. That number 99 of James Lowe starts in 3rd. He's on the inside, which is usually desirable. This might not be the case tonight, but he is farther ahead than his championship rival. Can he make use of that track position at the start of this race? Up to the backstretch, this pace car is going to peel in early with the pit entry there on the backstretch. That's giving control to Holloway in the number 31. He's waiting patiently. He's not going to take off early. Waiting a long time for it. Green flag is out, and he is off like a shot. Down on the low side, the 99 trying to get ahead of the 11 of Ruben Altice. Doesn't quite do it. Still running very low. Could he maybe slot up in line? Just about has it clear. But he keeps it down on that low side. Behind them, also side-by-side racing with Tim Shanowski up on the top side. Kenny Kibbe trying to fight with him for 4th position. I think the 99 might be able to have it. No, still Altice is going to deny him.
Well, that was definitely a smart start by Mike Holloway, waiting until the very last second to nail the gas and get it out of the way. It's worked out well for him. And now James Lowe up to the 2nd spot. And that battle for 3rd place is looking pretty cool between Ruben Altice and Kenny Kibbe.
Yeah, Altice did get overtaken finally by Lowe, as Kenny Kibbe still trying to find his space in line. Shanowski also is above him. Watching behind them, do you see that Sunoco machine of J.R. Shepherd sitting in 6th, still giving chase, looking for a chance to get in there.
You know, Joe, one thing, we talked about this being one of the first races at night here at Irwindale. Compared to some of the other races we've seen, and I think you and I actually just did a night race at Sebring the other day, I believe Sebring, lit by the sports car's headlights, might have been a little bit better than the lights here at Irwindale.
Yeah, it doesn't look terribly bright in a few spots around here. Just some dark places as we ride on board with Morton back in 7th, just behind J.R. Shepard. Up ahead, you can see they get single file because Kenny Kibbe has now found some space between Altice and Shinosky. Oh, and we got a caution. I see a car down in the infield. That is Belke. What happened here? Oh, this started in front of him. Brian Dean got pushed, and then Belke in the checkup got shoved around by, I believe, the 44 of Harden. There's that contact right there. Great timing from our director, getting that shove from behind. Not sure who that was.
All right, so watching from, looks like the blimp view here.
It's the 19 that gets him.
Yeah, just those bumpers didn't quite square up, and that little love tap there sent him around.
Well, that could have been a lot worse, to be fair. It was unfortunate that Belke is the one that really came out the worst of it, because there was a lot of 3 wide. Here's Belke and the 24. And he's really going to give a hard little thunk to that inside wall where there's nothing but concrete, no safer barrier to slow him down. Trying to find the 19 on my score sheet, figure out, oh, that was Lowell Jewell actually that got him, got Dean pushed originally.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Belke. You know, being from Michigan myself, I always root for the hometown driver a little bit, and Austin Belke being from the great city of Warren, Michigan, he's kind of the hometown boy as far as us fans up here go.
You know, I'm trying to see if we have any Club California drivers. Jeffrey Harden, actually. Harden is, I think, the only one hailing from that club here today. So that'll be special if he can get a good finish for us as we're waiting for the lights to go off on the pace car. It is still Mike Holloway leading with James Lowe in 2nd and Ruben Altice in 3rd. Shepard has not made up any positions. He's in 6th. I've actually seen a little bit of blinking from that 98 car, so that's not good with how close these cars run. It will not help his case in trying to take spots.
Yeah, you know, going back to the issue we talked about before with the lighting here at the track, I will say that it's pretty authentic to kind of how it works in short track racing. For those of you that maybe haven't been to your local short track, some of these lighting systems, although this is not the case here at Irwindale, this track's less than 30 years old, so the lights are fairly new, but not always directional. The directional setup on the lights, I should say, not always the best, and you do get these dark spots in the track. So for better or worse, it does kind of give an authentic feeling to the track. You can see the shadowed areas of the speedway. Doesn't make for always the greatest viewing, but does really add a level of authenticity to the racing here.
That's a good point. Wonder how much the iRacing lighting people actually pay attention to that when they build the tracks. But we are double file now, and the pace car is in. Holloway once again given control. This time Lowe is on the outside. Can he keep Altice from doing the same thing he did to him? Good launch there from Lowe. He is definitely going to be in 2nd place. Instead, behind Altice with a poor start. And Kenny Kibbe on the high side is going to take advantage of it. He gets through. J.R. Shepard as well. He's already up to 5th. He's looking at 4th place, running that desired high line.
J.R. Shepard on these tracks that have definitely one preferred groove is one of the probably deadliest drivers out there. He can really make the car work operating around these single groove tracks better probably than anybody else out there. So look for him to be a threat here as this race goes on.
Boy, the front of the field is single file, but the back of the field is not. In fact, they're 3 wide in places, including with Bruce Pearson, who's falling backwards in the middle line. Lowell Jewell to his high side. Speidel tried to look in there. He's still trying to work the ultimate low line down there all the way at the bottom of the banking. Doesn't seem to quite work out for him. Oh, and we got a battle for the lead. Lowe has gotten to the inside of Holloway. He's going to try and duck underneath him to get the spot from him. Can this actually work out? We keep talking about it. That progressive banking means you're going to burn up the tires a little bit more. He's got a nose ahead here, Chris. He just isn't clear.
Yeah, that momentum on the high side is going to be Mike Holloway's saving grace possibly, but James Lowe is a heck of a driver, and he's going to keep digging. But Holloway barely inching ahead there. Didn't even have him clear at the line, it looks like. But Lowe seems to be giving up a little bit of room now as they continue to race for this spot.
Wonder if those tires are getting burned up a little bit. They still have Kibbe and Shepard right behind him. They are staying single file while they watch to see how this is going to play out. Oh, he's just about clear. Almost could have slid up, but the 98 decided not to do the slide job this early in the race. We're barely 20 laps in, but he's looking a little bit stronger. Maybe he's finally got the hang of it. He's clear. Is he going to try and chop him off? And he does it.
Oh, but look at Holloway fighting back, takes a look to the inside as they come up the corner, and something's happening back there, Joe.
Yeah, that was the car of Todd Liston, gets in all sorts of loose. Justin Morton had to take evasive action. Big checkup from Ruben Altice behind him as well. Everything keeps going despite the scare, and Liston falls to 6th from that incident. You can see a little bit of side-by-side action as Lowell Jewell is down on the bottom side of Jason Minda.
I feel like that would probably be the secret to having a really good run here, would be if you can get that inside groove to work. Can you imagine how deadly you would be here at a track like Irwindale?
Oh, that's a good point. It is fixed setup in this series, so drivers can't really do that other than maybe finding some way to drive the car, which would be difficult compared to having a different setup. Lowell Jewell is still going to try it, though. But the old DW-themed car is denying him as the 45 continues to hold station. Oh, and as that happens, J.R. Shepard now going to the inside of Kenny Kibbe. Monkey see, monkey do, except he does it much quicker. He gets up in front of Kibbe. So J.R. Shepard up to 3rd, and his rival stays only 1 car apart from him.
Yeah, that was a very definitive move to clear himself. J.R. Shepard did not hesitate at all to move back up the track and cut off the follow back by Kibbe.
Let's take one more look at that, because that was, I just came to it as I saw the numbers on my time and in scoring start to come down. Here's the pass. I believe it happens into turn 1. That's, oh wow, no, it starts into 3. He gets it set up, gets it side by side. And this, did he just send it in deep? Oh, it took him multiple laps. We just were slow to get to it, maybe. And there you go. J.R. Shepard now in 3rd.
Just dove it off into the corner and let it slide up, and it worked out for him.
Things are starting to cool down now amongst the field, and drivers are spreading out, except for towards the back. It does look like we still got a little bit of a clump in there. I see Brian Dean trying to come back forward after he got shoved off in that number 23. He gets by Speidel, and he was looking at trying to overtake Donnie Moore in the 26, but that's not quite working as we ride on board with Shepard right now. You can see how tightly together they are packed. We didn't see it on screen, but Speidel actually scraped the wall going a little bit too high. Down low, that is Lowell Jewell once again. Still trying to make something work on Minda.
Yeah, this track race is very familiar to a track some other viewers may remember from when it was part of the Xfinity Series schedule, Lucas Oil Raceway in Indianapolis. It's a similar type of driving style. And it's the same thing there. The drivers that can work lower on the track will usually have the most success, and I got to give a lot of credit to Lowell for really sticking with it and trying to make it work, because that is not the easiest way to work around this track as far as tires go, as far as the handle on the car, especially with a fixed setup. And looks like we got Brad Speidel getting a little bit out of shape there towards the back of the field.
Yeah, the 5 of Speidel just sent it in way deep down low and hoped it would stick. It didn't quite. Now, he has gotten below the 23 of Dean, who was working on Donnie Moore and couldn't get that to finally execute. So now we go side by side between them to figure out who is going to get 15th position, and Speidel once again not finding grip on the bottom.
Yeah, that's you're fighting physics there at this point when you're trying to make the car work at that point of the track. It's the lowest banking, and unfortunately the tires don't always grip that way, especially with everybody running towards the top, so there's no rubber to aid in adhesion as well.
So Speidel loses out to the 21 of John Hine, who falls down to 17th. As in front of them, I think Lowell Jewell is still going at it. No, actually that is Donnie Moore. As we watch this group, that is Jewell and the 19 in front of him. Oh, the 45 you can see down low. The Western Auto Parts car almost loses out at the front of the pack. He's trying to get a pass done on Tim Shinoski. Almost coming together. Oh, when they do tip a little bit, Shinoski has to catch it as Pearson checks up and he spins out, causing a caution. That was a decently long green flag run.
Yeah, just one of those chain reaction incidences. Probably 3 or 4 cars up ahead. The 07 and the 45 kind of tangled a little bit. And just everybody checking up in response.
And this starts with that just little bit of contact between the 45 and the 07. I feel like we're going to be seeing this a lot, that move that Mendham made, where it just, you kind of, well, hashtag send it, I guess, Chris, is just hope that it works out, because it seems like that's the only thing that's making passes work at this point now that the tires have really kind of worn out.
Yeah, it almost looks like these guys are getting a little frustrated with the lack of ability to pass here. And we're seeing some moves where maybe drivers are sending the car where it shouldn't be.
Pearson did get shoved around because of that checkup. I'm trying to figure out who that was that got him. It was Robbie Robinson is the one that gave him just a small tap. There you see Robbie on screen. He's running in 12th still. They're waiting for the field to catch up to the pace car and get lined up. We actually still have everybody still out here. We do have one car lap down. That's Austin Belke was the car lap down, and I think Pearson will be on the lead lap because he is behind the pace car directly right now, so he'll be waved by. Everybody now on the lead lap then. So all 21, and we're nearly halfway through. That's not too bad.
You know, one thing I got to comment on is we have a lot of out-of-business sponsors in this race. I don't know if you've noticed that, Joe. We have a Kmart car, a Western Auto car, and an MBNA car, and none of those things exist anymore.
I hadn't even really thought about that until you said something. I like our director's comment. We need a Blockbuster car out there. So, I mean, I guess this is the throwback, but ultimate throwback out here.
Yeah, this is like pour one out for your departed homies as far as these sponsors go.
All right, when are we going to get these lights out? Seems like these cautions go on a fair while at this place. Would have thought that the pace car would have had them doubled up by now.
We even have an Amoco car. Do they have Amoco stations anymore, Joe?
I'm trying to think if I've seen one lately. And I can't recall. I don't know. We'll have to ask the peanut gallery out there. So if anybody's watching in the chat, let us know if Amoco is still a thing. We are going to get double file this time. So there goes Bruce Pearson back to catch the tail of the train. Last time, Lowe had a very good start. And, no, he was on this side last time. Excuse me. I was going to say he's starting on the low side. That's where he was before. All right, how is it going to go this time? It was Ruben Altice who had the trouble on the restart before, but he's fallen back to 7th. This time it's going to be J.R. Shepard, where he was starting in 3rd, and he's very good on this restart. James Lowe is actually going to restart very well up at the front. But he's going to have his championship rival directly behind him, potentially, depending on if Holloway can hold him off.
Yeah, JR trying really hard to make that bottom groove work. I don't know how well it's going to work out for him, but he's almost down to the white line, which is lower than we've seen just about anybody run today.
And it doesn't seem to be doing too bad, so seems to have figured out a trick that others haven't, and he could maybe slide up in front of Holloway. He decides not to. He's not totally clear there. Squares off the exit, tries to get the launch on a shallower line, and still he's being denied. But as they keep fighting, James Lowe is loving this. He's pulling away and has a gap of about half a second now, but suddenly the pass is done as the 98 is through.
Now it becomes the fun part of watching JR try to run down James Lowe out in front. These two have raced very hard against each other this season. Top 2 in the point standings, not separated by very much at all, so it's going to be a really good race.
Back behind them, Shanoski's trying to take 7th away from Ruben Altice. Matt is the one on the low side down in the aforementioned, Tim is the one down on the low side in the aforementioned Kmart car. Was there followed by, ooh, was that a little bump back there from Joe Segala? Almost looked like he got into Altice.
Well, it doesn't look like it's hurt anybody. Oh, the 07 got way out of shape there.
Good catch, though, to keep it from sliding up into the rest of the pack, because that could have taken out a lot of cars who are all bunched up behind them right now. Still, Shanoski is stuck with no place into the train, and he's waiting for something to open up for him. He's now beside the 45 of Menda, as Donnie Moore also starts to catch. Not giving up hope on something working out on that low line. The 07 could have had a gap ahead of Menda if he was just a little bit farther up, but it's not to be. Past halfway into this race now. Who's been babying the tires? Who's got something left in them? Shanoski's using up plenty right here, running that shorter line with less banking. So far, he's holding his own, at least. He stopped the bleeding here.
Yeah, he's not making it particularly easy on himself with that line he's running, but I don't think that's really been too much of his choice.
Oh, I spoke too soon. Moore's going to get by, and he just about had an opening that was wide enough, but Lowell Jewell manages to get a nose in. Oh, but Lawson's in way too deep. He's off into the wall. He's going to make a little bit of contact with Robbie Robinson. Everybody comes out of turn 2, not unscathed, but at least in one piece.
That's one positive to the Grand National cars versus the SK Modifieds. That hit to the wall, probably something a K&N car can rebound from. An SK
we got
Modified,
a big accident here. I see. It looks like Dean and Robinson involved. They were turned around. This starts with Robinson, it looks like. He's trying to take a spot away from Speidel, and we nearly had what you talked about with that pit exit barrier here. Watch this. A few feet earlier, and they would have been just coming to a complete halt.
Just a unfortunate product of that design of the track. The car on the inside got a little bit out of shape and very nearly shoved the outside car into the track exit.
That's the 23 of Dean, who also got a big piece of the accident. And then it looks like John Hine and the 21 had to take evasive action and slammed the outside, pancaked his right side of the car in 1 and 2. All right, let's watch from Hine's perspective. It was actually initially a really good avoidance. It's just he had to try and steer to the right eventually, and, well, there's a wall there. looked pretty gentle from on board.
Yeah, kind of the point I was making before the caution came out. In a SK Modified, that probably would be a type of incident that would make your night very difficult. In the Grand National cars with the fenders and a little bit more bodywork to lean on, it's probably going to be inconvenient, but I don't think it'll ruin your night quite as much.
I think Robbie Robinson, yep, he's going a lap down, unfortunately. Finally getting the car going and back in. Taking his spare car, but he's got to hope for another caution to get that lucky dog to take him back in. Kind of surprised we haven't had anybody willing to talk to us from inside the car here during one of the cautions so far. We'll see if maybe next time we can get someone in.
I did get the scoop on the Amoco, deal here. So, Amoco got bought by British Petroleum, we know as BP here in the States. BP got rid of the Amoco name, and then after that whole giant oil spill, they brought the name back to start labeling some stores as an Amoco station as a kind of a PR move.
Ah, interesting. Pay no attention to the man behind the corner type stuff. As behind the curtain, rather, to hopefully help them out here as we see waiting for everybody trying to go double file. Looks like not only Robbie Robinson, but I'm seeing Brian Dean just coming out of the pits now. We did see him get involved. I guess he didn't like the way the car was handling because he has now lost a lap to the leaders. Last one on the lead lap is Brad Speidel.
Yeah, Speidel's had a little bit of a difficult day as well. I think he's made a couple trips against the wall.
Okay, lights are out. So here we go. Low now with J.R. Shepard with him. How is Shepard going to handle this restart? He's on the high side, Low down on the shallower side. So they wait for the green flag. That seems to have worked so far. Green flag is out. Good jump from the 99. He's going to keep J.R. Shepard behind him, battling for third. That's Kibbe and Holloway. Holloway on the low side in the 31. Kibbe in the number 14. Single file, except for those two, within the top six.
Yeah, Holloway going to be digging on the inside, trying to get away from Kenny Kibbe, but that outside
we're going to have an
momentum.
accident. Oh, sorry. The 24 is involved. It looks like the 21 of John Hine. So he's coming out of turn 4. Looks like, I think Segala got shoved. Yeah, Segala got pushed, and the poor 21 had nowhere to go and spun right in front of the 44 of Harden. In fact, a bit of a bizarre incident where the 44 and the 21 hit nose to nose. It's on board the 21 of John Hine. And we see Segala start to spin way off to the right side. And he looked like he might be clear here. He tried to duck it low, but that car just kept coming.
Yeah, Segala went around not with very much warning, so I can't say I'm too surprised John Hine got caught up in that. It just happened so quick in front of him, he didn't really have any time to react.
Well, that seems to be the case for a couple drivers. His reaction time has been hard to come by, as I do believe we've got Justin Morton with us, the driver who is up towards the front for part of this race. And Justin, you are in 5th right now, and it seems like everybody is pretty much trying to get to that high line as soon as possible. Is there anything worth doing down on that low side?
About the only thing that you can really do on the low side is about your right side tires on the white line, and that's about it.
A few drivers do seem to be struggling a little bit trying to get the power down off the corners, and we've seen some people turned going front to rear to cause these accidents. Is it getting difficult to try and keep from getting wheel spin out there?
I haven't really had problems with it. I've been trying to save my tires a bit more than the guys ahead of me, hoping to get them later in the run.
All right, you're in the top 5. Is a podium possible?
I sure hope so.
All right, we'll keep an eye on you. That's the number 9 of Justin Morton we were just talking to, sitting 5th in line. And we're riding on board on his hood right now. We had those 2 long green flag runs at the start, Chris, and it looked like it was going to be good. And, well, I mean, it is still good racing, but we've had a spate of yellows just recently.
Well, somebody must have heard the pay window was open because these drivers are racing a lot more aggressively. And unfortunately, when you get all these cautions and bunch the field up so much, you do kind of lend yourself to more cautions, breeding cautions, as some like to say.
And they're going to call off the green here. They were going to go back green this next time by, but it looks like they've waved it a little bit longer. Not sure why. We weren't happy with how everybody was lined up, it seems. Despite all this action, of the 21 drivers, only 5 I'm seeing. 6. Only 6 have been in the pits so far. And I don't think all of them have actually taken their spare car. So that's a good sign, the way that the racing's been going, that at least it's not taking anybody out. We do still have all 21 running. Last time, Lowe was able to get the jump on Shepard. Can he do it again? Is he able to vary it up enough to keep him on his toes? What about those drivers behind? Can maybe they try to pounce on the multi-time champion of J.R. Shepard? That'll be a feel-good story for them if they can get that position away. Great launch there from James Lowe. He is going to get that lead easily on the restart as the 98 is clear. So third place then becomes Kenny Kibbe. Mike Holloway trying to hold on to fourth as Justin Morton is trying to work that low side.
A little bit further back, Todd Liston just gave a shove to Mike Holloway going into the corner there that last time around.
When they almost come together, both nearly losing it. Justin Morton said he was holding on to his tires. I guess no more, because we are 72 laps in and it's go time for the number 9. Now he's got that spot away up to P4 shortly after the restart.
And this great camera work off the hood of Todd Liston, just going to show you all the different dark spots you can see between the light poles here. It's something that's going to be playing with these drivers a little bit as they get through this race.
So pretty much all single file through the field now because of that. Just a little bit of side-by-side at the very back between guys like Hardin, Pearson, Belkey, Segala also trying to get positions back after his big incident there. Watching the leaders. This is not a good feeling for James Lowe, I'm sure, even though he's felt it many times before. J.R. Shepard is now stalking him. He's 0.3 of a second back. I guess the one thing in the favor for Lowe at this point, Chris, is we've seen it is incredibly tough to execute.
But on the flip side of that, if there's a driver that thrives in these conditions, it's definitely J.R. Shepard. And that's definitely something James Lowe's well aware of for all the times they've raced together. And J.R. already looking to the inside, so we could see possibly an attempt at a pass here coming up shortly.
Yeah, J.R. working a much lower line. You can see he drifts up high and he doesn't quite have the speed off the turn that the 99 does. But there he goes again, way down low. We had a spin at the back with Bruce Pearson, but he keeps going. This won't bring out a caution, but it may cause lap traffic a lot quicker than we expected.
Now, that's one thing to consider. It depends on how friendly the lapped cars want to be, but this line around this track operates. It is, at least the lapped cars would have a pretty much chosen path to go on, duck and low here at this track.
And visibly, you can see the pace that Lowe and Shepard are running because they're starting to peel away from Kenny Kibbe. It's over half a second.
Well, JR got all kinds of loot off the turn there. You got to wonder, he's working pretty hard on that lower groove. You got to think the good's probably coming off those tires here soon.
I wondered about him trying that time and time again. But I'm seeing it looks like maybe Lowe is starting to use a similar line here. I wonder if he's been watching in his mirrors seeing what Shepard's been doing and trying to mimic it a little bit. Because I guess usually it's a case of put yourself where the other drivers aren't. So the flip side of that could be put yourself where the other drivers are so that they can't go by you.
Yeah, I mean, James running about a tenth of a second quicker the last couple laps than Shepard, so it's whatever he's trying seems to be working.
Oh, we got another caution. And Belke, I believe? Oh, there's a lot of cars, and it's still happening. Chris Wolfson goes around. Mike Allen does. This is a weird incident. Okay, so I think this starts with Segala and Belke, and they didn't go completely around, but the caution still came out. The stewards weren't happy with how it was looking, thinking a wreck would happen, and the wreck happened after the caution. There you go. There's the meat of the wreck, if you will. Belke got a little bit tipped into here. Yeah, definitely got tipped from that onboard. That was,
Now, it almost looked like Speidel got into the wall, and Belke might have checked up in response to that. At least, yeah, Speidel got into the wall, and Belke checked up, and then Segala caught him in the left rear quarter.
Yeah, Segala, that's who it was there in that 81. I mean, great catch from both of them. It's just a shame that it wound up collecting more cars. Here's Segala's perspective.
Yeah, there's Speidel catching the wall, and then Belke responded. Segala really didn't have any way to see what was going on where he was running at on the track from what we could see on the in-car, so I'm going to say it's probably going to chalk itself up to a racing deal.
Yeah, I would put it kind of the same. We've used this term before tonight, chain reaction, where just unfortunately one thing led to another, and there's so little space, even as wide as this track is, for anybody to react in time. Lowe is still your leader. Lowe probably likes this the most, because the more laps under caution that he's up in front, the less he has to fight with the 98 of Shepard.
Yeah, the only downside to that is the more laps you run under caution, those tires on Shepard cool off a little bit. So that may give him enough room to possibly make another run here in the closing laps.
That's about his best hope now, is launching off when they get that green flag and trying to challenge James Lowe. Haven't seen a whole lot of changing around up at the top of the field. Morton, with that great move to get himself into fourth, changed things around recently. Really, all the action and all the swapping around has been in the mid-pack and in the back of the field. Still all 21 are running, and as long as we don't have a major incident, we should see all 21 see the checkered flag here, because we're going to get going with maybe about 12 laps to go, I believe.
You know, that overhead view really gives you a look at what a great job the lights at the track are doing. Apparently Irwindale, California is pretty much dark except for the racetrack.
There you go. All right, as we get ready to watch the restart. There's JR, maybe kind of pushing it up on the high side, trying to time the start, trying to see if he could jump it, but it's not going to happen. Green flag is out, and down below him, could he have a challenge? That is Kenny Kibbe. Oh no, he tries to send it in deep through 1 and 2 and gets held up by the 99. Still, this allows Kenny Kibbe to maybe have an opportunity. He's down low behind the 99, below the 99 rather, as James is just cheering him on to try and hold up J.R. Shepard.
And Justin Morton in the picture as well. Morton was the quickest driver in practice earlier today, and he could have something here at the end. He said he was saving his tires.
Holy cow, Tim Shanoski absolutely goes flying. This is a case of miscommunication. Donnie Moore was not clear, and he tries to go up high just as Shanoski gets shoved by that into the outside wall. Who else catches this? Someone goes rolling over. It's Ruben Altice. Wow. Ruben's, oh my goodness, Ruben's going to have a huge hit even after his initial roll here. Watch this. I know he's got that Doomsday sponsor on there, but I guess it's the end of the world as he knows it with a wreck like that.
Well, you know, that's another, we talked about the track exit being a hazard. That was the track entrance. You have that blunt wall that's kind of facing the same direction as traffic, and that really exacerbated how bad that accident was.
Yeah, it made the angle of hit a lot sharper than it would have been on a regular wall. Who would have thought that? I mean, we figured it was going to be the other end of the track that causes those sorts of major incidents, and I said everybody's still running. I don't think we're going to get that. Poor Tim Shinosky, he's still smoking in the infield. I do believe California has outlawed that in public spaces, so I'm not sure that he'll be allowed to that.
Yeah, we are definitely breaking some rules here. And I believe only in the state of California smoking race cars may cause cancer.
There he gets going. Okay, I was a little afraid because I do know some drivers do have direct drive wheels, and those can break hands if you don't pull them out of the way, kind of like real race cars that don't have power steering. And I was just a little afraid. He was sitting there for a long time. I was hoping that he didn't have something horrible happen.
Well, you can probably say with that Kmart sponsorship, that car is definitely on blue light special right now.
Yeah, he's, well, I mean, it fits his sponsor because the car is no more. So as they finally go double file, this time we're going to get going with 5 to go. We barely got any laps in there. I don't think we even got a lap in, actually, now that I think of it. There's just maybe half a lap of green before that huge incident. Let's see what the 99's got. James Lowe only has to make 5 more laps ahead of J.R. Shepherd to take the fight back to him. Oh, look at him stack him up big time. Launches off, but it's not as drastic as we've seen before. J.R. Shepherd might actually be able to stay on the outside. Look at him go. He's got it to the outside, but he's got to finish the pass off. And the 99 is keeping a nose ahead. If we have another caution, this could end the race, and that'll be important for James Lowe.
Well, they're still door-to-door as they head into turn number 1. Shepherd with the advantage, Lowe sliding up the track. They're about to touch tires as they come off of turn 2. Shepherd on the outside has the momentum.
This is a disaster start for the 99, but a beautiful run. Oh, and he spins it! He loses it to the inside and brings the caution out. That is going to end it. Shepherd is your winner. I believe we're going to be 2 to go this time across the line, so we'll get back to that replay in a little bit. Did we actually get all the drivers to finish? I see Morton is missing. I'm not sure why. Shinosky did get back out on the track. Oh, and are they being waved around the pace car here? I guess they have to go a full lap around. So the pace car is on the white flag lap, which J.R. Shepherd is going to catch. Wow. I did not, if I'm honest, Chris, I did not think that J.R. Shepherd could actually pull off a restart and get that pass done, and so few laps left.
Well, I mean, James Lowe has been flawless on those starts all night. I mean, we had no reason to think it was going to be any different.
And here it is right here. The latest round is won by J.R. Shepherd here in California. The fireworks go off. Kibbe's going to take second, Liston in third. Where even did we wind up having Lowe? He's scored in 16th. This is going to be a crushing blow in the championship for that 99. J.R. Shepherd, though, is sitting pretty now. We're going to celebrate as the fireworks go off. We'll be back after a short break. We'll come back with the driver interviews as well as the unofficial results. Stick around because you'll see all the upcoming races here on your screen. Welcome back to Irwindale Speedway. This famous California track produced an incredible race right down to the final laps. And here we're going to watch the replay of what decided it all. The restart that allowed the 99 to get side by side, and then coming out of turn 4, James Lowe and J.R. Shepard fighting it out, no contact, and James Lowe slips up in a crucial manner that could take the opportunity to take the championship from him away. There you see the car going around. Not even ghost contact from as far as I can tell. He locks it up so that he doesn't hit the wall, but by that point the caution comes out and the stewards decided he came to a halt in 16th, removing a lot of points from him. Up at the front, though, it was J.R. Shepard who finished in first with Kenny Kibbe in second place. Todd Liston, not a quiet race because he certainly had some exciting moments, but we really didn't see him fighting all that much, and he wound up in third. Our pole sitter, Holloway, he held on to fourth. That is a very good job because usually you don't see that from the pole sitter here. Lowell Jewell wound up in fifth after starting 14th with Jason Menda in P6. Brad Speidel, 7th for him with Robbie Robinson in 8th and Jeffrey Harden in 9th. Joe Segala rounds out the top 10.
Just outside of the top 10 was Bruce Pearson, who had a couple trips around today. Donnie Moore came home in 12th. Austin Belkey, another adventure. He came home in 13th. Ruben Altice, 14th after a tremendous wreck there towards the end. John Hine in 15th, and James Lowe, heartbroken, to be finishing in 16th. One lap down was Mike Allen in 17th. Joining him one lap down was Chris Wolfson in 18th. Brian Dean, 19th, a couple laps down, and then Justin Morton and Tim Shinosky complete the field.
We're going to go a little bit of a reverse tonight. We'll start with our third place driver to talk to us, Todd Liston, to try and find out a little bit more about how things went for him. Todd, we saw a couple times where you got a little loose out there, but otherwise we were focused elsewhere. We hardly know anything about your race, so tell us how it went.
Well, I was pretty much just trying to hold on to about a 5th place spot there, try to get up there. I was actually holding on to 6th to get that outside restart line. I was pretty content out there, and yeah, there were a couple of times I got ahead of myself, had to woe up there.
We were talking earlier to Justin Morton about that, probably about 3/4 through the race. He said it wasn't that much of an issue with wheel spin and the tires losing out, but we saw a number of drivers with similar issues to what you had, where it seemed like they had to slow up and they got bumped from behind just because of that wheel spin. I mean, tell us about how the tires were, because it was nighttime, so it should have been at least cool-ish conditions.
Well, as oftentimes with these K&N cars, they get real loose coming out of the turns when you try to get on the throttle on them real hard. And it's a lot about throttle control coming off the corner, and it's real easy to just edge it a little bit too much and get that wheel spin.
It certainly looked like it was a tough one out there today. But obviously, this is going to be a good bit of points for you. Up next, though, you guys are going to Oxford and talking about a track where it's hard to pass. How do you feel coming to the Little Donut up on the East Coast?
Well, it'll be interesting. At least I'll be in the invert for that race, so that's something to be thankful for.
Yeah, it's going to be starting, I believe, around 6th place for you. So congratulations on the third out there today, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you a bit more.
Thank you.
Todd Liston, 3rd place finisher. Chris, I believe you've caught up with Kenny Kibbe, who grabbed 2nd today.
Yeah, our runner-up today, Kenny Kibbe. Well, Kenny, relatively seemed like a quiet race for you, given some of the adventures some of the other drivers went on. Nonetheless, a lot of good battles out there, and tell us a little bit about your race.
Yeah, gosh, it was a battle. It was so tough to make up any positions, and it was so important to restart on the top. Yeah, we ran that first little run there, 5-6 laps completely on the bottom, which I didn't want to do. And I tried to fight for all the track position I could get. Wore my tires probably more than I wanted to the first 10 laps. And so I kind of tried to take it easy after that, and got a little bit lucky restarting on the top a few times. And just after that, got to 3rd or 4th or whatever, and just tried to ride around behind the leaders and hope that they fought and made mistakes and wore their stuff out and tried to ease into the corners the best I could and save my tires for the end. And in the end, I'm pretty happy with getting second.
Now, one thing I did want to ask about, we noticed with the Twilight model here at Irwindale, we had some interesting issues with the lighting here at the track. Was it a challenge for you drivers out there dealing with the shadows on the track, or was it just kind of business as usual?
Seemed pretty normal to me. On my end, seemed like complete darkness, and track was relatively well lit. I could see that maybe there's some, like from the stands, you might see some darkness in some of the corners. But yeah, for us down on the track, it seemed pretty normal.
Now, there was that late race restart where you looked like you may have had a look on JR for a second as they ran on the track, and just wondering if you thought maybe you just got kind of lucky with the issues on the start, or did you think maybe you were going to muscle your way in there?
Yeah, I mean, restarting on the bottom, you have to get all that you can possibly get or quick and early, because the advantage is that I was restarting behind the leader, so if I got a good jump, I'd have a good jump like the leader because he controls the restart. So that helped me. And then you have to dive down to the bottom, and really I wasn't planning on passing JR, but surprisingly I was able to actually hang with him for a couple corners. So I was going to fight with him, but really my plan was to just have enough space to file in third if JR was going to clear me.
All right, Kenny. Anyone you want to thank that has helped you out so far this season?
Yeah, just everybody at the Bootleg Racing League for putting this thing together every week, and GSRC for broadcasting, and everybody likes to ride around with me on my Twitch live streams, and yeah, it's been a fun race. I really like Irwindale, and I look forward to coming here every year.
Well, thanks a lot, Kenny, and we'll hope to see you next week at Oxford Plains.
Oh boy, Oxford. That's going to be a fun one too.
All right. Thanks, Kenny, and looks like Joe's catching up with our race winner.
Yes, J.R. Shepard, our victor tonight. And J.R., if I'm honest, I doubted you. I didn't think that you'd be able to make that move on that last restart to get to the outside. Did you know you could pull that off?
I knew there was opportunity there, and unfortunately for James, there was just caution after caution there at the end of the race. So I could kind of see when he was going to go, and I didn't want to jump him. I wanted to make sure he went first, and I timed it pretty decent on that last restart to where I didn't leave too much later than he did, and I was just able to get to his outside. So he had that race won for sure, and unfortunately the cautions just kept coming out.
Yeah, it really did. Tell us from your perspective, though, because we saw you blinking quite a bit throughout portions of the race. Were you noticing anything internet connection-wise on your end, or were you kind of oblivious?
Yeah, I didn't really know until after the race, and sounds like it was bothering some of the guys out there. So I have to apologize to everybody for that. I shouldn't even been on the track with it doing that. So that's not what I want to do at all. And we'll see if we can get it figured out the next couple of weeks. If not, I'll have to pass on the races.
We had an interesting mention from Chris partway through the race that with this high line and with the K&N cars, one thing that we saw a little bit less of is obviously the cars climbing the wall like we used to see with the SKs. Do you find this a little bit easier on these rim rider tracks to be able to brush it and kind of get away with it?
Yeah, you do. It's one of those things. So the closer you are to the wall, the less of an impact you're really going to take. So you can kind of brush off of it and keep your momentum up if you do it correctly. But if you miss it just a little bit, you can really knock the right front off of it, and that's not what you want to do, especially in these cars. They're pretty aerodynamic sensitive on the front end.
Well, something we'll have to keep in mind. Again, congratulations on the victory. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, definitely to Lowell for allowing us to do this each and every week in the Bootleg Racing League, and to the cruise shop for being a great partner with our series. They've been around for a while, and really appreciate what they do for us. So thank you to them, and of course to GSRC for having you guys on board doing the broadcast with us. Really appreciate it, guys.
We also are grateful for the cruise shop. And again, that was our winner, J.R. Shepard. So he will extend his points lead after this week. We're going to thank that sponsor ourselves as well. So don't forget to check out the cruise shop. That is 260-755-6125 that you can call them at. Or if you want to look online, it's thecruiseshopfw.com. Also, thanks to Bootleg Racing League for bringing us back for our first season of coverage of the Grand National Series. This year, the premier series of their Saturday night racing. And thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts. They're listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how you get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Chris, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check us out on social media. Our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, check out our merch store. We've got a link in the description below, but if you want to type it in, it's gsrc.storenvy.com. And make sure and subscribe. Just scroll below the video here on YouTube, and you'll see a big red button that says subscribe, and you only have to click it once. The next race, as we mentioned, we're heading all the way to the other side of the USA, over to Oxford. That'll be Saturday, February 29th at 8:50 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.